Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's headlines, city volunteers are helping over 1,305 victims in Indonesia's West Jakarta by distributing relief items. We go to Taiwan's Mackay Suicide Prevention Center to find out the support made available to help suicide survivors move on. And in our feature report on the island sunsets trade, we meet Tainan's Hong Ming Hong, a talented craftsman in paper sculptures. First up in today's program, in Indonesia's West Jakarta, in the sub-district of Tambora, a fire broke out in the early hours on July 3rd. Even though the fire was contained within 3 hours, it destroyed 159 homes and left over 1,000 people homeless. To help, city volunteers distributed daily necessities to the fire victims, hoping to ease some of their pain. Here's more.
On July 3rd in Tambora, a sub-district of West Jakarta, Indonesia, a fire blazed through 159 households, leaving 1,344 residents without places to live. Many impoverished residents can only stay in the rubble remains of the house.
The cause of electric fire is often due to cramming of houses and the poor installation of the electric wires.
Miriam is still grieving over the loss of her home and her son.
I'm very thankful for all the support, but I'm still very upset because I have lost my son in the fire.
To care for the fire survivors, city volunteers arrive on scene, bringing daily necessities and a tarp for each household to keep out from the rain.
For the past 3 years, City University's medical department has been sharing their professional experiences on body donation with a surgery training center in the University of Malaya. On July 1st, the first simulation surgery on cadavers was finally conducted at the Silent Mentor workshop in Malaysia. Ling Qian, who suffered from large-stage rectal cancer, donated his body before he passed away and became the first silent mentor in the nation. Before he passed on, he said he wanted to donate his body to help medical students become better doctors.
Can we learn from your body by conducting simulated surgery on you? Of course.
To educate more medical students, Ling Qian promised to donate his body before he passed away.
When conducting the simulated surgery on you, we will invite top doctors from other countries to teach our medical students. To all of us, you are our only teacher.
Ling Qian, who suffered from last-stage rectal cancer, decided to become a silent mentor before he passed away. His body will be donated to the University of Malaya Medical Center for minimal invasive laparoendoscopic surgery research.
I hope my father is the first silent mentor, and this love will be passed on and inspire more people to become silent mentors too.
Under the guidance of Honorable Sikh Changzhu from Ciyun Jingyuan Temple, family members of Ling Qian and medical students sincerely pray to the silent mentor. This is the first time a simulated surgery on cadavers has been conducted at the silent mentor workshop in Malaysia.
The purpose of the workshop is to educate our medical students on the spirit of giving and to learn to be grateful by doing so, so that in the future they will respect their patients.
After death, as the first silent mentor in Malaysia, Ling Qian continues to give by nurturing more young doctors and eventually benefiting more patients in the future.
Next, we go to Taiwan and join members of Xiamen's Nursing Association as they visited the Hualien Tzu Hospital. While in Taiwan, the group of medical staff also seized the opportunity to visit Tzu care recipients. Through home visitations, the nurses said that they were very touched by the way volunteers treated their care recipients and promised to do the same when they return home.
Traveling to Shiling Township in Hualien County for the first time, today nursing staff from Xiamen are visiting the homes of care recipients. Mr. Chen, who works as a stonemason, is paralyzed from the waist down. He used to smoke, drink, and eat betel nut until he met Tzu Ji. Over the past 10 years, volunteers have provided him with endless love and care that has helped him overcome his bad habits. To reciprocate, he started to donate money to Tzu Ji.
这是你的爱心，是你的爱心捐款的收据。嘿，你看，你看，越修过感恩。
他虽然自己是残疾人。
He's paralyzed from the waist down, but he's very positive because he felt the love Tzu Ji volunteers gave him. He donates money into his coin bank so he can help the needy too. I'm very touched by his action. For this group of nurses, this is their first time conducting home visits with Tzu Ji volunteers. Seeing the way volunteers treat their care recipients, the nurses are very touched.
When
Tzu Ji is helping the needy, they do it with great respect and thank the recipients for giving them the chance to give. In the future, when we help others, we will treat them equally too.
The Tzu Ji volunteers not only care for their recipients with love, but also with wisdom.
For this kind of case, we will know what to do next time because we can't provide everything for them. We need to encourage them to be independent too.
With doctors treating patients' illnesses and volunteers caring for patients' spirits with boundless compassion, Tzu Ji's medical mission has set a good example for many to follow.
Moving to the Philippines for the students at Kids Tech Learning Center in Marikina City, Friday is Recycling Day. On this day of the week, children bring recyclables collected from home to school, and Tzu Ji volunteers will help sort them into categories before taking them away. But first, we go to China's Jiangsu province, where the local recycling volunteers in Kunshan City holds a monthly family recycling day for employees of Taiwanese-based companies in China, in hopes of further promoting recycling concepts.
In China's Kunshan City, Tzu Ji volunteers set up a family recycling day to bring conservation ideas to employees of Foxconn, Compal, and Foxlink. Wearing face masks does not cover up the foul odor in the air, but that does not seem to prevent anyone from giving their best.
Today's temperature is around 34 or 36 degrees Celsius. Today's event is beneficial on two levels. One, exercise. Sweating is good for the body. And two, the earth, environmental protection is wonderful.
A fresh start, rinsing out dirty bottles, volunteers realize that doing recycling isn't so easy.
I'm sweating everywhere.
Although everyone is covered in sweat, happiness shines from within.
我的感想是泪流满面，瘦2公斤，谢谢。我希望这个活动可以推动到全世界。我觉得环保就是要习惯成自然。
Family Recycling Day ends in song here in Kunshan City, but every Friday at Kids Tech Learning Center in Marikina City in the Philippines is Recycling Day. Instead of backpacks, the children have brought bags of recyclables to school with them because it's Friday. Every Friday, Tzu Ji volunteers come to the school to help sort recyclables with the children.
Nagdala po ako ng bote at saka bakal. Nag-iipon po ako ng mga plastic at saka ng mga bote.
Good morning, everyone.
Following Typhoon Kansana of 2009, Tzu Ji volunteers and the residents of Marikina City have worked together from volunteer work to promoting environmental protection in schools.
White. So, what color is this? Clear. This is clear. So, the clear plastics makes this one white.
Yung mga kumot gawa sa plastic na bote.
I hope to plant a seed of the kindness in their hearts and educate them on importance of protection of their environment. Even in disaster relief, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to promote conservation ideas.
Whether it's Family Recycling Day in China or Friday Recycling Day in the Philippines, Tzu Chi wants everyone to do their part in recycling.
Continuing on our series of feature reports on suicide, as we found out in the past few days that suicide not only affects the victim, but also leaves long-lasting scars on the family and relatives of the suicide victim. Presently, there are over 450,000 people in Taiwan who are related to someone who has taken their own life. Often these relatives themselves fall into depression due to their loss. Despite the volume of incidents, Taiwan only has one suicide prevention center. The Mackay Suicide Prevention Center uses a mix of support groups and the care of committed doctors to bring a sense of closure and acceptance to suicide survivors. Next, we meet Dr. Fang Junkai, a clinician survivor who shares with us ways to help suicide survivors move on.
This is a wonderful way to meet other survivors.
This is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or AFSP, which hosts a yearly overnight march for the families of suicide victims.
Meeting a situation for the first time is like the time of sunset, which then very quickly goes into the dark night. And in this darkness, you need to walk on. This is also the time that you need others beside you, so you don't get lost or feel afraid. Walking on, you will eventually make it till the coming of dawn and a new day.
A conservative estimate of the number of family members left behind by suicide victims in Taiwan is 450,000, and the Mackay Suicide Center is the only suicide prevention center island-wide that has been established to help people cope with their loss and pain through support groups.
First off, they will discover that they are not alone in their pain and that there are others in the same situations. Second, in the telling of stories, they will develop a sense of security, as perhaps in the past when they would tell their stories to others, they would be stopped short or hurt by the listener's response.
For those hoping to help the families of suicide victims, the ASFP has come up with 3 guidelines.
When with them, don't talk too much is the first thing. Second is to remind them to eat. This is very important. Many are in so much pain that they forget to eat and lose too much weight. Eating is the basic of survival and helps maintain their body functions. But also when chewing, they will be reminded of their existence and slowly find themselves again.
A psychiatrist that specializes in suicides, Dr. Fong, with his past clinical experience, emphasizes on the importance of support groups for suicide survivors.
When some patients kill themselves, their doctors might not know. They might go on thinking that the patient just didn't come for their follow-up. But strangely enough, for me, whenever a patient killed himself, his or her family would always come and tell me about it. The relationship between a doctor and his patients in Taiwan is straightforward. And whenever the patient's family comes to see you, you will feel nervous and wonder if they are coming to accuse or blame you. But sometimes they are coming to thank you for the care you extended. Because before the person left, in his suicide note, he said he wanted to thank you. I find that a bit ironic. Although in the end he or she committed suicide, they still wanted their family to thank me for helping them. For us, care providers, on one level, when you really put your heart into caring for your patient, your heart, your emotions, your thoughts and actions are influenced. When a suicide happens, you feel it and it moves you. So I knew that I was going down this road. because I'm considered as a professional suicide survivor.
When someone decides to kill themselves, it affects many, including the care provider. Since this situation can't be avoided, Dr. Fong has made it his mission to help many who, like him, have to deal with the pain of losing someone close to them.
Next to Dongyu Temple in Tainan City, one will find a century-old paper art store. Though not spacious, the historical store is filled with creative artworks and tools. In our feature report on Taiwan's fading industries, we meet the fifth-generation owner of the store, Hong Ming Hong. When people think of paper sculptures, they normally relate them to burial possessions, but we find out from the skillful artisan the history behind the traditional art.
这就是从台湾最小的老贝沙，会动哦。对，这个可以说台湾最小的会动的那个人偶吗？对。
Looking at these sculptures with different expressions and appearances, it is hard to imagine that they are actually made from paper.
We only just use a stick like this to make the shape of an animal. The head, it is also made from paper. Just like that, nothing else, no weaving.
Newspapers are the most important source of material in making paper statues. With the flexibility of the paper and the skillful hands of the craftsman, no drafts needs to be drawn before an artwork is produced.
We normally put this on a palanquin for gods. Back in those days, the older generation would refer to these as the offerings used in the temples. They have been making these since the ancient times.
In the old days, when resources such as wood and stone were difficult to find, the god statues in the temples and gifts for friends and family are mainly made from paper. Hong Ming Hong, the fifth-generation owner of the century-old Zuoten paper art store, has spent all his life making paper sculptures and passing on his skills.
Before, these craftsmen sold their artwork as soon as someone made a purchase. They didn't keep them for decorations, so that's why I've made some for myself. When students come for interviews or do a thesis, and even for overseas visitors, these will be good samples to show them. We used to make these paper sculptures to sell or to give away as gifts. It has all been replaced by plastic products now. Like the Japanese dolls, some people still keep them because they are quite expensive. But it was passed on from China too. They kept them, but we didn't. We were too many steps ahead.
To take on the family business, Hong Ming Hong not only learned skills from his father, but also from other craftsmen in his industry. Hong says that it is a pity many people think paper statues are made solely for the deceased.
Why do so many people think that way? Because quite a large number of people pass away each day in comparison to the number of temple celebrations. So craftsmen nowadays are specialized in making paper houses and rarely learn about paper sculpture. If you can master the skills to make paper houses in 3 years, it will take you at least a decade to learn the skills of making paper statues. Some artisans are getting old, some have passed on, so naturally, there's almost no one who can make them.
Paper binding is the foundation of all paper artwork. However, it is a great pity when speaking of paper sculptures that many always think of burial processions. Hong Min-hong hopes that more people will cherish the traditional skill and spread the goodness of paper artwork to even more people. To master the skills of paper sculpture not only requires patience, but also takes many years of hard work before one can become a talented craftsman. Thus, not many young people these days are willing to learn the traditional art. In our next report, we meet 6th generation owner, 25-year-old Hong Guoling, who is ready to take on his family business.
This part will be empty, so you need to fold it here, just like that girl do. Don't let it sink in.
Crunching, molding, pinching and folding. Hong Min-hong is teaching his son how to make a paper tiger sculpture and also passing on his skills and knowledge whenever he can.
If you make the posture slightly tilted, it will look more energetic. So you need to stick this part together.
Many people kept encouraging me and telling me that my father is really talented. My friends and relatives always talk about it. I think he's quite skillful too.
25-year-old Hong Guoling is seizing every opportunity to learn paper sculpturing from his father before starting military service this year. Despite having no aircon and internet access, the young man patiently works in front of the store.
Of course, it's tiring. How so? You have to be very patient and can't run around.
Parents in the old days were more serious and strict, and they would slap you if you didn't follow their orders. Now, you can't slap children anymore.
Educational ways varies with time, but to ensure his son is ready to take on the family business, Hong Min-hong pays close attention to the artwork his son makes and gives feedback whenever needed.
You see, these two are quite different. No, it's not about their body size. This one is stepping out further. Yes, I'm talking about the legs. Do you see it? I find it much more comforting having my kid taking on the family business. He started military service at the end of the month. When he comes back, I'll pass the business over to him. I'll go into the wholesale sector in the same industry.
Knowing the importance of paper sculpture, the father and son pair vows to pass on their skills and knowledge to future generations to preserve the traditional art. At the end of today's program, we go to South America, where several countries have been hard hit by a cold front. City volunteers worried for the health conditions of senior residents in a local nursing home decided to pay them a special visit. These elderly people were all happy and moved to see the blue and white uniformed caregivers. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.